Hi everyone, I'm Fuad Mustafa, the brown version of Fuad Mustafa. Oh, man, you started recording? Come on, I'm so sorry guys. I'm Sumit Bhattacharya and today we're gonna discuss about Prince2 and why we chose this framework. Okay, I have in my team Joby and Fuad Mustafa, and today we all gonna discuss about Prince2. Let's discuss.
Alright, in order to introduce Prince2 project management method, it's important to first explain what projects are and why the world is so desperately in need of a good project management method. To start off with, the first question is, what are projects? Projects are vehicles to help organization implement changes. These changes help the organizations to stay adaptive and leverage both the internal and external influence to the organization. So the next question is, so what makes up a project then? Well, like we said before, first, it's a vehicle to implement change to the organization, and these days, change is almost constant. That's why you'll find most of the organization have numerous projects running at the same time. Just to keep up with the ever-increasing pace of changes that impact your organization, projects are needed. That brings me to the second point. That is, projects are unique. They only happen once. Projects implement change, so inherently they are only done because changes can't be implemented twice in the same manner. Everything that is repeated in an organization is considered routine operations, our daily business. A simplified example here would be the old car industry. Here, the daily business is producing cars using assembly line. This is routine or daily business because it produces numerous cars a day. Now, projects in this example would be making changes to the assembly line to create new set of cars. The particular change in the assembly line is a unique and only happen once and can therefore be considered the project. When the assembly line is being used again to produce cars, this is once again part of a daily business. Finally, the third point is projects are temporary. They are formed for sole purpose of implementing the change to your organization and usually consist of people with different expertise from different departments or even different companies. Once the change have been completed, the project is finished and it ceased to exist. Then all people in the project go their way and attend their duties and then do their own duties. Okay, so now we know how project is defined. So why do we need a project management methodology? Well, that's because there's an ugly truth to projects in general, and especially projects related to IT. And that, unfortunately, is project tends to fail. Somehow it's extremely hard to get a project to be delivered on time, on budget, and while delivering the quality that is expected. Let's look at some numbers which I've got from McKinsey and Company in conjunction with University of Oxford and KPMG in New Zealand. Almost 45% of IT projects go over budget. So almost half of the IT project eventually costs more than originally anticipated. Then a staggering 56% of IT projects do not meet the quality standards they were expected by the customers. The another one, only 40% of projects actually meet the project goals. So yeah, you can see why the need of a good project management methodology come to be. Or perhaps this quote from Karen Tate simply justifies trying to manage a project without a project management is like to play a football game without a game plan. In other words, if you're trying to run a project without a project management methodology, you're going to lose. Alright, so we have established that project management is crucial, but then why would you go ahead and select Prince2 as a project management method?
Hey Fawad, Barry, man, you're the next one.
Oh my god. Thanks a lot, Sumit. Hi guys.
So I'm going to talk about the core elements of Prince2, and I'm also going to talk about the things Prince2 lacks. So let's discuss. Let's go.
So we're going to talk about the core elements of Prince2. That's what I'm going to cover right now. So the core elements of Prince2 is basically has 4 core elements. These core elements are the pillars of Prince2. And they're the things that set Prince2 apart from other project management methods. Now, there's principles, processes, themes, and tailoring. So now let's talk about 4 elements. Now, I'm going to list the core elements for you guys right now. So there are some of best practices that were gathered to form the Prince2 method. So I like to refer this as principles that are what's in a Prince2 project. So now I'm going to list it for you guys now. So first one is business justification. The second one is roles and responsibilities. The third one is learn from experience. The fourth one is manage by exceptions. Fifth one is manage by stages. And the next one is tailor to suit the environment. And the last one is focus on the product. So what needs to happen to make sure the project is as successful as possible? One thing is important to remember though. Prince2 states that every principle has to be present in a Prince2 project for it to be considered Prince2. So the next one I'm going to talk about right now. So Prince2 is a process-based approach, and there are 7 distinct processes. These processes tell you exactly when certain activities need to be happening. So I'm going to list the process for you right now. So the first one is starting up a project. Second is initialization of a project. The third is direction of a project. The fourth is controlling a stage. The fifth is management of product delivery. So the sixth one is management of stage boundaries, and the seventh one is the closures of the project. So the process also have 7, like what I mentioned in the principles. There's the themes. So the themes are knowledge areas that they tell you how to handle the different aspects of the project management. So I'm going to list this for you guys. So first of all, first one is business case. The second one is organization. The third is quality. The fourth is risk. The fifth is plan. The sixth is change. And the last one is the progress. So Prince2 is divided into the 7 knowledge areas. The knowledge areas tell you how to handle these things in a project. They tell you how to make sure your project adheres to the 7 Prince2 principles. So, and lastly, I'm going to talk about the tailoring right now. Tailoring is a way to make the project method fit your project environment. So you actually scale the different elements of a Prince2 project depending on the size, complexity, and a lot of other properties of your project. Tailoring is an important aspect of Prince2, as this makes sure that the Prince2 method is indeed applicable to any project. Prince2 does not cover specialist aspects for the sole reason that the method is meant to be applicable to any project regardless of industry or specialization. So now I'm going to talk about the next one. So the next one aspect that Prince2 does not cover is the detailed techniques. So for example, while sticking with the business case, Prince2 will tell you what the business case should look like and what aspects should be included, but it does not tell you the method to use for your financial calculations. So now I'm going to go to the last one, which talked about Prince2 does not cover leadership capabilities, which is very important. So these are the things for motivating people. If you check the internet, there are a lot of things about motivating people, but Prince2 doesn't talk about it. So these are all the things that Prince2 does not cover that I've talked about. So I'm going to discuss with Joby. Joby has some things to tell you guys, and he's going to talk about the
Hey, what do you think of this other guy that we met that day?
Who guy is that?
You know?
He started recording, Joby.
Hey guys, I'm totally sorry about that. So now I'm going to do the comparison of Prince2 with PMP. Here it goes.
So let's compare Prince2 with PMP, which is another project management approach. Although Prince2 and PMP definitely split up in the project management market, most choose between them on geographical reasons. In general, PMP is quite big in the US and in the Canada, while Prince2 is big in Europe, Australia and New Zealand. Africa and Asia are kind of divided, as is South America. Now let's look at the distinction. Prince2 is a method, which means that it has a more systematic approach to project management, very directive, and is basically very straightforward. Takes you through the steps you need to take it successfully to run a project. Whereas PMP is a guide. It presents you with a broad array of tools and techniques which you can use within your project, and is quite similar to Prince2 and also like Scrum or other different methods. Prince2 gives you a blueprint for an effective project theme. PMP on the other hand gives you a great set of tools to plan human resources, organizational charts and role descriptions. Then it goes on to give you a lot of useful techniques on how to acquire staff, how to develop a theme during a project, and it also gives you many other options to choose which tools you have to adapt and the techniques you need to use and how to manage a theme. Now let's look at the criterias for PMP and Prince2 examinations. For PMP, the criteria is like one would require at least 3 years of project management experience, 4,500 hours in leading and directing projects, and 35 hours in project management education. As of now, there is no hard and fast rule for appearing for Prince2 certification exam. Prince2 Foundation does not require you to satisfy any criteria. But if you are applying for the practitioner level, then you must possess a Prince2 Foundation level certificate. Now let's summarize what we learned today. First, we looked at the definition of a project. A project is a vehicle for change. It is unique as a project happens only once. Things that happen more than once are considered as routine or daily business. Projects are temporary. They invoke change, and once a project is complete, it is disbanded. Well then, we answered why would you use Prince2 as a much needed project management method. The reasons are it is based on best practices, it can be applied to any project, it's easy to learn, and because it's easy to learn and cheap for the organizations to implement. We also did an overview of all the core Prince2 elements, the principles and the themes, and how to adhere to these principles. Thereafter, we did a comparison between Prince2 and PMP. We explained that Prince2 is a method while PMP provides guidelines. One can consider Prince to be a blueprint and PMP to be a toolbox full of tools to execute that blueprint. Lastly, we talked about the examination criteria for both PMP and Prince2. PMP has a defined list of prerequisites for a candidate to appear for the exam, whereas Prince2 does not have any such criteria. Thank you.